My name is Adam Armstrong. I've been working with people struggling with addiction for about 8 years now in various capacities. I first started off with youth and adolescents, ranging from the age of 9 until about 18 years of age. Those that have been struggling with addiction or started using at a very young age. And so just developing trainings and campaigns and programs to help with that behavior, so that way we could just give a different future and a different hope for those youth, keep them out of treatment centers. Denial is it's one of those things that we all commonly use. It definitely gives us a benefit. Most of the time it protects us from dealing with the real issues. And so denial is the opposite of acceptance. And so anything in my life that I feel like is unmanageable, I'm probably going to have denial about it. And so it's going to be very hard for me to accept it because I don't want to deal with what comes with acceptance. I think the biggest thing is just the fact of they're used to it and it's comfortable to be in denial. I know that might sound strange, but it's comfortable. Remember, having denial is a coping skill. And so you use it because, again, it protects you from being hurt. It protects you from having to deal with some hard issues. And really deal with what the big problem is. And so most of the clients that I deal with, that's a big one for them is denial, because they've trained themselves to use denial in order to avoid consequences of their addiction and have to really own up to their behavior and choices that they have made. I'll talk about, your problem. I'll talk about, my cousin's problem. I'll talk about the world. I'll talk about anything superficial, anything surface, but I won't talk about anything about what's going on in my life. You're an addict? No, not me. Absolutely not. I got this totally under control. I just use on the weekends. I'm able to control my use. You just got to make it smaller for them, almost bite-sized, when someone's in absolute denial. And you don't, of course, tell them you're in absolute denial, but you make it more achievable for them. And so you want to find out, again, where in your life is it unmanageable? And if you start there, then you can maybe start that dialogue and eventually get them to see where they're in denial. My problems aren't that bad. I'm not using that much. I'm not as bad as that person because they're using an IV and I'm snorting it. Meth is worse than alcohol. Just so many different things, and that's the minimization. And so you just try to really help that person through that minimization and let them know that chemical dependency is a chemical dependency. It's all the same no matter what form you're using it in. It all serves the same purpose. I'm using because I can't control my anxiety, which I commonly hear that one, or I use because of my depression. I use because of my mental health issues and problems. Life is easier when I'm using. I'm smarter when I'm using. I've heard it all. More creative when I'm using. I can think better when I'm using. You're rationalizing, your reasoning for picking up and using that substance every single day. Blaming others for picking up and using. We all have a story to tell, and some of us really have really hard stories and really hard things that we've made it through. And some of us have had really, like I said, hard childhoods and different things like that, and some traumatic experiences and post-traumatic stress disorder, different things like that. But that's where you see a person blaming and using it as a crutch instead of being honest about what their problem is. Because again, chemical dependency, them using their drugs is not going to fix their problem. Therapy and different forms of therapy would be the place to start with that. Comparing yourself to another person and saying, I'm not as bad as that person. They've been using for 6 years and I've only been using for 3 years. Everyone's different. Everyone has a different chemical makeup, and so substances affect you in a different way. I'll pretend like I really want to change, which I deal with some people like that, where they're all right, yeah, I'll just comply and do what I need to do because of probation, or because my parents are going to cut me off, because my wife or my husband's going to leave me, or because they just took my children away, or something like that. And so you're in denial because you really don't feel like there's a reason to change, but you're just being compliant with the powers that be. And so you're trying to appease other people. Another form I call that is external motivation. All addicts really are master manipulators, not admitting to anything. What I often say to my clients when I'm doing groups on avoiding pitfalls of denial, I tell them their whole attitude before coming into treatment was deny. You know, don't accept responsibility for anything, and admit nothing. I can't because my leg, or I can't deal with this problem because of this pain, or again, blaming it on the doctors. There's a lot of different forms of denial, and it all gets you to the same place of denial, but it just looks different for everyone in your own life.